It's week 13, day 87 of my full-time chronic pain rehabilitation journey. My name's Jason, and today I'm going to talk about the pitfalls of perfection and precision. Sometimes you'll get farther by not being too anal. First though, a quick status update. I slept. I have been detoxing from all of my sleep medications, slowly, but this week I've been off them completely, and I've been dealing with bouts of insomnia, and the last 2 nights, not last night, but the 2 nights before that, were frankly awful. I slept very little and was very, very tired, and I was worried that last night I would not sleep well. Well, I didn't sleep great, but I slept for 6 consecutive hours, which is much better than sleeping 2 to 3 hours per night. So I am grateful for that. There's still some catch-up work to do in terms of sleep, but I seem to be stabilizing, and hopefully I will be sleeping well and completely off my meds, by the next week or 2. No more side effects. That's the goal. All right, on to today's topic, the pitfalls of perfection and precision. Last night, I had hoped to follow some sleep practices that I've been talking about and some insomnia best practices, and I didn't exactly do that. Now, the old me would have been bothered by this because when I put out a sleep guide and talk about insomnia facts, I kind of expect myself to live by them and to be a role model to you, etc. But I also know that I'm human and sometimes I'm not going to do it just exactly right. But the old me was a perfectionist and he couldn't tolerate that kind of slackerish attitude. So I am reformed and am now much more tolerant of my not doing things exactly right. Here's why. So there is a woman who has a company. She used to work for Weight Watchers and she left because she disagreed with their overall philosophy. Her name is Liz Joseph Berg. And I think she has a point that kind of explains really well how I feel about living life in an imperfect way and why that's okay. So she worked at Weight Watchers for a long time, and the way that works is basically you come up with an eating plan, and you have a certain number of points that you can spend on food each day. And the pattern that she would see is women would come in, and they would basically come in almost acting like a confessional when it was check-in time. And they were allocated maybe 100 points a day, and they would confess, well, I was doing really well, and then I went over by 2 points, so 102 points instead of 100. And then I ate 297. And so she kept seeing this pattern over and over again, and just how destructive it was, because going over by 2 points means almost nothing. They wouldn't have gained any weight by doing that, but yet they were severely emotionally distressed, and then did something actually counterproductive and kind of screwed up the whole plan as a response. And she wanted to know why that was happening and help people avoid that sort of perfectionistic behavior. So what she found out in her research is that when you feel shame and guilt, you actually stimulate the pleasure centers of your brain. That sounds counterintuitive because you usually feel awful, but the thing that you did that makes you feel guilty, you'll actually do more of because it will then stimulate the pleasure centers of your brain even more. So for example, if you say you're never going to eat pizza again, and then you have a single slice and you start to feel guilty and shame, you're going to then eat the whole freaking pizza, maybe more. That's an example of what she's talking about. So her philosophy is, it's an archery analogy, try to hit the target, not the bullseye. If you're in the general zone of where you want to be, you're doing great. You don't have to hit it, dead center every time, the target dead center every time, to feel good about yourself, the progress that you're making. It's okay just to hit the target because you're so close to where you want to be anyway, it's good enough. I guess the overall concept here is that good enough is good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. This has been a problem in my life because I am a perfectionist, at least I was, and still have that tendency sometimes to want to be exact, really exact. So right now, for example, I aspire to work out 6 days a week. If I were only able to work out 5 days a week, that would not bother me. I'd try to do better the next week, but it wouldn't set me back. I wouldn't stop exercising altogether just because I missed 1 day. Fighting for your life means tolerating imperfection. You won't always fight as well as you'd like, but you can't let that suspend your forward momentum or totally derail your journey. If you find my videos helpful, please pass them along and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, keep fighting for your life.